Hello everyone, it is time for a very late UFC Vegas prediction video slash podcast. And the reason it's so late this time around is there's been some construction at my place, and obviously that makes for a not conducive recording environment. But it's currently done for the day, and therefore it's nice and quiet, and there's an ability to get this done. Unfortunately, I am doing this after the weigh-in, so we had a couple of interesting notes from that. We had one fight moved up a weight class, that being the Chiesa Vieira fight, which is now a featherweight fight, which I understand is from Vieira having issues with 135, which is weird because Mason Chiesa is historically, and not surprisingly when you realize that she's like, 5'11", having issues making 135. And, yeah, it's interesting to see that be somebody else. Like, it's interesting to see that be the opponent that actually requires the upload or the uptake instead of her. Otherwise, Macy Barber missed weight. Not a huge deal. She came at 126.5. That is, I think, blowing up a little bit more than it probably should. Alan Nascimento also missing weight at 127.5 pounds. So, 2 weight misses. 1 fight bumped up a weight class, and also Trevin Giles, who was supposed to fight on the card against Andreas Gustafsson, ending up out of his fight because of falling. I think he fell while trying to cut weight, and obviously that injured him. And needless to say, there is no fight on that now. So we got a 10-fight card. I will say that while this card in general is Apex slop, there is one fight in particular that I'm like, just very, very anti, and it's the opener of the main card. We'll get to it when we get to it, but it's not a fight I'm looking forward to. And the number of fights I'm looking forward to are kind of limited. You've got the main event. That's, it's women's flyweight. It is what it is, but it's a decent fight. And then I'm looking forward to the Nascimento-Fio fight, although less so with Nascimento missing weight. That kind of throws a wrench in my plans there. But like at the same time, you can't fault the card construction for that. Otherwise, I don't know. There's a fun version of Billy Ray Goff versus Ramiz Brahima. There's just not really a guarantee we're going to get it. Similarly, there's a fun version of Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez, but there's no guarantee that we get it. So that's a hard one. And then like the other fights, like it's Zachary Dusko Todorovic. That's an abomination of a fight at a UFC level. Jordan Leavitt versus Kurt Hallbaugh kind of plays into the Kurt Hallbaugh bad side. And then Balaji Oki versus Michael Aswell is a pair of guys that I don't really think of as being UFC caliber. And then Rayan Dos Santos. I'm not even sure how to pronounce her name, actually, now that I think about it. And Elise Ardeline, that's also a terrible fight. You got a bunch of terrible fights on here. You've got 2 fights I'm looking forward to, and you got some coin flips that might turn out good, might not turn out good. But I will say, this card is getting a little bit shit on for a reason 2 reasons I don't think it should be. One is a lot of people are complaining about the main event, the Barber versus Blanchfield fight, which, don't get me wrong, is not a fascinating fight. It's one I'm going to break down relatively quickly. But at the same time, it is a top 10 flyweight fight. It is the definition of what a Apex main event should be, I think, under standard ideal conditions. Like what I would like to see. Now, do I want this particular fight? No, but it ticks the boxes for the most part. And then the co-main event's getting hated on, and I think it's just, I don't know, there's like this weird Mateusz Gamrot hate right now, and I get it. Mateusz Gamrot has won some fights that he probably shouldn't have, looking at the Arman Tsarukyan fight, looking at the Jalen Turner fight. He's got that win over Rafael Fiziev, where it's just Fiziev's leg exploding. He's got the win over old men like Rafael Dos Anjos, Carlos Diego Ferreira, who was getting up there in age, Jeremy Stevens, Scott Holtzman near the end of his run. So I get it. And then, like, I don't know, there's like a weird Guram Kutataladze hate now, and he beat Gamrot. So that's another one, I guess. I don't overall get it, though. Him versus Ludovic Klein is about as good of a fight as you're going to get Gamrot in right now. And it's about as good of a fight you're going to get Klein in. So, like, I'm not shopping at the bit for it. I'm not super excited for it. I didn't put it on my, like, good fights list. But it's fine. And it's a matchup in a co-main event. Like, let's look at the last co-main event for a hot second here for a moment here. Because the UFC, in their last co-main event, tried to give us... It ended up being Myron Santos versus Yusuf Zalal, if memory serves. Not Yusuf Zalal, Sadiq Yusuf. Pardon me. My bad. Sorry. My bad. So Sadiq Yusuf versus Myron Santos. And it was supposed to be, in the co-main event, Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Those are far worse fights. Far worse fights for co-main event. So, like, let's cool our socks a moment here. Let's cool it down a little bit with that. Like, let's even go back another Apex card, shall we? This was a travel card. Yeah, so even the travel card, like the travel card had a better co-main event, Reiner de Ritter versus Bo Nickel. Yeah, but that's not an Apex card. And then if we go back to the other travel card, the Kansas City card, we got Anthony Smith versus Zhang as the co-main event. That is way worse than this. I understand that was a retirement fight, but way worse than this. And then where's the last Apex here? We haven't been to the Apex in like much as much lately. It's the Mexico City card. That's the London card. Man, am I going to get back to the Vittori card? There it is. Yeah, Marvin Vittori versus Roman Dolidze with Chidi Njokuani and Eliza Zaleski, which, don't get me wrong, is a good action fight and everything, but it is two unranked dudes. So, I don't know. I think we're being a little harsh on this card. That being said, am I super excited for it? No, not really. The usual spiel goes here. I'm going to talk about MMA fight betting. I'm going to be talking about odds. I'm going to be giving you information that maybe you can use to make a pick. I'm going to be talking about maybe where I'm going to be putting a little money down. But MMA betting is this little spice of life thing. It is not a path to financial freedom. It is not what you should be putting 5 figures on. Hell, I don't even know if you should be putting 4 figures on these fights. Please bet responsibly. Do not be one of those guys on Twitter going, I can't believe I lost 70 grand on a UFC fight. Please don't do that. Please do not use my thoughts to even inform that. Okay. Aaron Blanchfield versus Macy Barber with Barber missing weight. The question, I guess, comes is, am I going to change my pick for that? I think the answer is no. I'm going to take the people based on what I would have picked them had they had an ideal weight cut. Normally, I don't do these videos after the weigh-ins. There's a reason for that. It clouds things. It murks things. It makes things filthy, in a word. But I'm going with Aaron Blanchfield here. The reason for this is that, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good things about Macy Barber. She is a tank. She is super strong physically. She is down to scrap. She is transcended from being a bully that I really thought was going to crash and burn after that Roxanne Modaffari fight. Not because she lost to Roxanne Modaffari, not because of anything that was shown in the fight, but because of her reaction, and more importantly, her father's reaction to that loss was, let's just go with counterproductive. But since that point, like, I don't want to say she's become notably better, because I think fundamentally she's the same fighter. But there is a scrappiness to her that bullies don't usually have. There's a willingness to fight when things get hard. And the third round of the Miranda Maverick fight, I think, is a good example of that. So she's got that. So she's very strong. She's scrappy. She hits hard. She hits reasonably cleanly, decent form. But there is something that has plagued her career, which is takedown defense. Both on a technical level and the fact that her game almost inevitably always brings her into takedown range, into wrestling opportunities with her opponents. And lesser takedown artists than Aaron Blanchfield have capitalized on that for significant time on the ground. Now, Barber has been getting better at getting up and forcing her way back up. And the strength is, of course, a big part of that. But Blanchfield herself is a pretty strong fighter and a very scrappy one. And one that has cardio to fight at a very, very high pace for 5 rounds. And this is a 5-round fight. And we've never seen Barber in a 5-round fight. Now, granted, the 3rd round has been a strong round for her before, so I'm not predicting her to just get cardioed out of the fight. But I am thinking that Blanchfield will continuously force the fight on her. And on top of that, you have the fact that the takedowns will be there. Barber doesn't stay out of range of takedowns, and she doesn't defend them well. So, do I see her just getting up repetitively after giving up takedowns? I mean, I undoubtedly she will get up some, but I don't think you can give up like 5, 6 takedowns to Erin Blanchfield and not at some point get grounded for like a long period of time. And Blanchfield is very defensively bad as a striker. Her head does not move. It is bolt upright. It is there to be hit. And like I said, Barber does hit hard. So there's some interest there. And my pick could like very quickly go wrong on me because Blanchfield could come out there, get stuffed, and just get walloped. And I don't think she'll get like one shot killed or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But like if she can't get takedowns, she just keeps getting walloped, she will lose. So I'm going with Blanchfield. The takedowns are just too there for me not to. Barber didn't make weight. She looked very sunk in. So this doesn't strike me as a fight where somebody has missed weight to gain a tactical advantage, but rather someone who has legitimately just not made weight. So Blanchfield by decision. She's the favorite. Minus 230 to minus 250. Plus 180 to plus 200 for Our Lady Macy Barber. I shouldn't say Our Lady because I'm not picking her. The opponent, Macy Barber. There you go. And I'll probably put a small bet on that. Maybe put that into a parlay because I do feel reasonably confident, and I think those odds are reasonable. A fight that I do feel pretty confident on is the co-main event between Mateusz Gamrot and Ludwig Klein. Now, there are concerns that Gamrot is 34 years old and has a style that historically does not age very well. And by that I mean heavy on the wrestling, heavy on destroying your knees and your back to a certain degree, and also, very damage intense. So there's a lot of ways that this could go kind of bad for him, and like a sudden regression comes into play. But I don't think Ludwig Klein is the guy to actually capitalize on all those. Klein is a decent wrestler and a reasonably good striker with some creativity and some pop in his punches, but he's 5'7", so he's not a particularly rangy guy, and he doesn't deny wrestling. It's kind of the same as like Barber to a certain degree, where his style fundamentally opens a door for wrestling, and he's not fundamentally untakeable down. Like, I mean, he's been out-wrestled by featherweights even, for God's sakes. So if you're going to give Gamrot takedown entries, and you're probably not going to force a pace on him, because Klein doesn't force a pace on anybody. He can match a pace, but he doesn't actually weaponize pace. It's hard to see this going any other way. And also, the other thing is that Klein's success against guys that he cannot out-wrestle is pretty minimal. If you look at it, like, there is that Thiago Moises fight that he won, but at the same time, Moises will kind of just let you set the pace and set up and set up and set up and not really do anything. And then you have like Roosevelt Roberts, who notoriously can be wrestled. People are trying to say Roosevelt Roberts is better than Mateusz Gamrot. The discussion online about this fight has been insane. It's just I'm hoping to be right, just so that stupidity can come to an end, please. And then like AJ Cunningham, that doesn't mean anything. He did beat Ignacio Bahamondes. That's probably the best win he has. But Bahamondes, I don't know. There are some problems in Bahamondes' game. Like, he's a guy who's putting together some nice wins, but there's also like some relatively condemning losses in there as well. And I guess not that many. It's really just John McDessie and Ludwig Klein. But yeah, I don't know. Bahamondes recently has beaten Manuel Torres and Jalen Turner. And that's, that's pretty cool, but I don't know. I don't think it means that much. And then, of course, like Devontae Smith and Shane Young, which really don't mean much. And then, like, losing to wrestling threats or guys who can just kind of control the range, like Mike Trezano, Nate Landwehr, Jai Herbert even. So I've got to go with Gamrot. There's nothing about Klein that denies him his game. And if that's going to be the case, if you're going to try and counter wrestle and out scramble Gamrot, you're probably going to lose. Unless you can just melt him. So yeah, going with Gamrot. He is a favorite at minus 160 to minus 172, plus 130 to plus 136 on Klein. These odds, by the way, are from yesterday, so they may have changed by now. Obviously, lines will change up until the fight, basically. But yeah, I've got Gamrot by decision. I'm going to be betting on Gamrot, and we move on. Rahimis Brahima versus Billy Ray Goth. Two guys that are in the UFC for reasons I comprehend, but largely don't really think belong. They're just kind of like cheap filler for the UFC here. Brahima is kind of dull when he has his own way, honestly. He's got a little bit of pop in his hands, and he's like a kind of really, really, really low-grade wrestle grappler. Like, very low grade. Like, can't out-wrestle old man Court McGee. Low grade. I don't know. And then Billy Ray Goth is like just a pure pace, heart, determination kind of guy. Actually, going to say a lot of that about Michael Aswell later on in this breakdown. They're very similar in that regard. And he's not a great athlete. He's not a great technician in any way. But he will try really, 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 really hard. And that's why I'm going to give him the win here. I think you can just outpace Rahimis Brahima. I think you can. So there you go. Not complex. Got by decision. He is the favorite, though, at minus 350 to minus 370, and I am staying the hell away from that. No, thank you. No. Plus 255 to plus 290 on Brahima. If you're going to bet on that fight, bet on Brahima, but I would just avoid it. Like the plague myself. Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez. If Jacoby is the old form of Jacoby, the fundamentals, 1-2 building, low kick guy, control the range, do the thing, do the rangy kickboxer thing, I would take him very, very easily. But lately he's been doing what I could only describe as dumb stuff, and that makes me nervous. Lopez is not very good. He is reasonably tough. He is I don't want to say a panic brawler, but he is an uncomfortable brawler. There you go. Uncomfortable brawler and a swinging clinger. That should not beat Dustin Jacoby. It might not even beat the bad version of Jacoby that's forming here. So I'm going to go with Jacoby, but I am worried. I am concerned. I'm not betting on him at minus 195 to minus 200. I'm not betting on Lopez at plus 152 to 165 either, though. I'm staying clear of it. Jacoby by decision. TKO is not out of the question, but like Lopez has got a decent chin. Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chiasson. Listen, this is the one that I maybe really, really do want to change because Vieira apparently had a hard time making the weight, which suggests an injury or something, or just something going on in her life. And she doesn't seem to be happy fighting right now, which is never a great sign. Like, even in her wins, there's like a fundamental, I don't really want to be here element to her, but I picked her before she missed weight. I'm going to keep it there. She is a good, strong wrestler. She's the better striker of the two. And Macy Chiasson is going to run into the clinch with her over and over and over again. And if you can't out-clinch her, and if you can't be out-clinched by, say, Holly Holm, you're not going to be out-clinched by Macy Chiasson. Vieira by decision is the pick. Does the weight change maybe have an impact here? I don't know. Maybe Vieira really is kind of just mentally checked out. But even the mentally checked out version of Ketlin Vieira has been winning fights. So that's what I got. Like, she's still been winning against anyone not named Kayla Harrison and Raquel Pennington and Yana Santos for the last 5 years. So, like, there's Holm, there's Tate, there's Kianzad, there's Sajar Eubanks. Like, these are people that try to do a lot of the same things that Chiasson's going to try to do and couldn't get them going against her. So, there you go. That's the pick. Chiasson is the favorite. Minus 120 to minus 130. Minus 105 to plus 110 on Vieira. I will be betting on Vieira, although I am shaken in that notion just a bit. Zach Reese versus Duško Todorovic. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a bad fight. Reese is powerful, big, and a good opportunity. I don't even know about good, but like opportunistic guard grappler. Like he's a worse version of Paul Craig, if that's possible. But Todorovic doesn't have a chin, and also isn't particularly good. Like his striking looks way better than Reese's does, and his wrestling also has more form on it than Reese does. But he was a guy who got around on the Eastern European scene by bullying people, and that hasn't translated to the UFC. So I'm gonna go with Reese to be big, strong, powerful, and at some point just catch him. Mind you, I also did that against Azamat Bakoyev, and that did not work out for me. Bakoyev just absolutely slaughtered Jack Reese. But like Bakoyev's issue, the reason I was picking against Bakoyev is that Bakoyev is a bit fragile. He does get hurt, and he has to recover a lot in his fights. That tends to happen a fair bit for him. But he is otherwise a good fighter. He is like a reasonably hard hitter, a good athlete, a good wrestler, good at game planning, aggressive in the right ways. Like he's like if you he is damn it. He's kind of like the Russian Jonathan Goulet, where like if you could give this guy a chin, he'd be a really good fighter. Todorovic with even like an above average chin is still bad. Like that's the problem. That's the issue. So I am going with Reese to stop him, but man, don't bet on this fight. Don't touch this fight. The fact that there are people touching this fight at minus 230 to minus 265 on Reese and plus 190 to plus 200 on Todorovic, keep your money. Keep your money. There you go. Alan Nascimento versus Jeff Alfio. Looking forward to this. It should be scrambles galore. These are two very much guard grappling, like I don't want to say specifically guard grapplers, but like these are demons on the ground. These are the Tasmanian devils of the flyweight division. They are both guys who will honestly just pull the fight down to the ground, even at disadvantageous positions, and will somehow make it work because they'll scramble, they'll find their way. At the end of the day, I have to pick Nascimento because he seems to be the better one. But how much of that is just my like respect for him training with Charles Oliveira, and how much of that is factual? I don't know. And watching the two of their fights, like I wasn't able to shake the feeling, but I also wasn't able to reinforce it in any way. So I'm assuming Nascimento, who missed weight, is the better at this game, and that Fio doesn't really have another game to play. So he's going to play the game with Nascimento, which is the scrambles, the half guards, the back takes, and so on. And he's going to lose. So that's my assumption. I got Nascimento by decision, although a sub is obviously very much on the table for both men. Nascimento is the favorite at minus 148 to minus 164, plus 123 to plus 130 on Fio. That's about right. I will probably make a small wager on Nascimento. Jordan Leavitt versus Kurt Hallbaugh. I like Kurt Hallbaugh. I do. He's a good action fighter. He's entertaining against just about anybody, but like his career has been derailed so often by his inability, unwillingness, I don't know what it is, to stop takedowns. And Leavitt, not a great takedown artist by any means, but like a reasonably strong guy with a multitude of ways to get the fight to the ground, and a really solid top game. So, Leavitt by decision is the pick. Hallbaugh is the better striker. Hallbaugh is the more exciting grappler, but I think that actually will probably work against him, because I think it'll just put him deeper into grappling exchanges that Leavitt can stay on top it for. So, Leavitt by decision. There you go. Submission is also on the table. Balaji versus Michael Aswell. I respect Aswell's conditioning. I respect his heart. I respect his pace. I respect his toughness. That's kind of it. There's just nothing else to him. I don't. Also, he's also a featherweight. Is another thing to think of here, and he's fighting at lightweight. He's just not a good enough athlete for this level, and he doesn't have a dominant skill set anywhere. He's not particularly technical anywhere, actually. He is just hustle, determination, dedication, toughness, volume. He's Billy Ray Goth, basically. And he's up against Blanchfield, who is in some ways a fundamentally misformed fighter, but is like particularly athletic, decently sized for the featherweight, has good pop in his punches, seems to be reasonably hard to control in the clinch and out wrestle really, really easily. So yeah, I've got to go with him to win by decision. We'll see. It could be a fun fight, admittedly, because one of the things about Oki that I don't like is that he kind of doesn't mind being like really slow and deliberate. And if Aswell can go out there and make him fight at a higher pace, it might actually be really, really fun. But I still, it feels like Aswell shouldn't be here. And it's a bit harsh because the kid's reasonably young. Like, I think he's 24 years old. But I just don't know if I see it ever really panning out for him. Oh, by the way, Leave It is a minus 225 to minus 230 favorite, plus 175 to plus 190 on Hollabaugh. And in this one, it's minus 360 to minus 400 on Oki, which is a bit steep. And Aswell is plus 275 to plus 300. Might take a chance here, throw $10 on like Aswell or something, just in case he picks it up, because that is, it's a bit wide. It's a bit wide. And then Ryan DeSantos, or Ryan Hayen, I can never remember her name. And the problem I think probably is that I've actually heard it pronounced like every way under the sun in the various promotions she's been in. And I don't necessarily trust the way the UFC pronounces it. So, I don't know. We'll see. You know what? Here. I will go with how they pronounce it tomorrow. There you go. Dos Santos is the pick here. Dos Santos is a capable fighter in a lot of ways. I know she's gone 0-2 in the UFC, losing split decisions, and she is too small. She is very much she's an atomweight, if we're being completely honest here. And that's a problem. That's not good. That's less than ideal. That is a problem. There you go. All of those things, put it out there, bring it back, and we move on, basically. But Ardeline, like, has just size going for her. She is actively bad. I don't know how else to put it. Like, seldom has a fighter come to the UFC, and I've just been like, I don't understand anything about why you're here. Like, she came in with a pretty poor record, honestly. What was it when she came in? Because I know she's like 9-7 now. I want to say she was 9-5 when she came in. Yeah, I think that's it. 9-5. Like I said, she's got the size for the division, 5'3", reasonably like thick, reasonably stacked. But there's just nothing here. And there's nothing in her background that suggested anything. Like, the most impressive fight she had before getting to the UFC, I guess, okay, two options. One, getting to the second round with Weili Zhang. That's kind of impressive in 2016. And two, losing to Christina Stanchu by split decision in a fight that I still haven't seen. But, like, Stanchu's herself, like, somebody who got in the UFC and then did nothing but lose. So, I don't know. Otherwise, it's like losing to Diana Belbita and then like winning against 0-3, 0-0, 0-4, 1-0, 3-0, 3-4, 0-1, 2-0, 0-3. Like, it is like proper can crusher like territory where it's just like girls who similarly have no game and also no physicality. So. And then she gets to UFC. She loses to Shannon Bannon, who's pretty bad. She loses to Melissa Martinez, who should be an atomweight as well. It's another one for you, realistically. And, yeah. So I'm not really particularly perturbed by the fact that she's fighting somebody who should be probably at atomweight. But yeah, I guess there is the fact that Dos Santos... Now, to be clear, Dos Santos absolutely should have beaten Talita Alencar. And I also scored the Puja Tomar fight for her. Although I think there's an argument for Tomar in that one. But, I don't know. I really hope so. I just really hope that she can get the job done. Because she's a way better fighter. And she she should not be going 0-3 against Tomar, Alencar, and Ardeline. So I've got her by decision. Ardeline did get armbarred by Tiana Belbita. Dos Santos does like the arm bars. It's on the table. Dos Santos is minus 265 to minus 290, plus 200 to plus 220 on Ardeline. I will be betting on Dos Santos. So that is the fight card. I'll be back with the post ideas, the recap, and, how I did on the betting as well will be there. How I did on the picks. And hopefully, you know what? Hopefully it's a nice 10-0 night. And I make some money. And hopefully you enjoyed this. So I will see you guys next time. And the usual links are down below. Social media and so on. So check it out.